Greetings, Church Redeemer family. Grace and peace from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. I hope you had a Merry Christmastide and that the new year is off to a good start. I am sorry that I am not able to be there with you today. All I can say is doctor's orders. As you can see, I've got my shoulder sling on, and I've been told that will be on for a couple more weeks. The main issue is that I'm continuing to take pain medication, and I was told as long as I'm taking that regularly, I should not be going to work. So here we are, sending you a video for the State of the Church address. An update on this shoulder of mine. The surgery went well. No complications, no surprises. Everything went according to plan. The pain is manageable, thanks to the wonderful care of Melanie and the pain medication and simply just doing what I'm told as far as the doctors go. I think there's been a daily occurrence where Melanie has had to say something to the effect of, stop doing that and let me do that, moving forward, like I said, I'll be on the sling for a couple more weeks, and then there'll be 4 months of physical therapy to follow. As you may have noticed, I was not in the pulpit today. That was Jessica, and I'm sure she did an amazing job. The plan, Lord willing, is for me to be back in the pulpit next Sunday and moving forward from there. I will probably, for the time being, continue to have limited office time, working mostly from home. I've had a fairly productive week as far as having one hand to type goes, but if you need me, of course, call or text me. I may delegate some things along the way, but that's the plan moving forward. That said, let's talk about the state of our church rather than the state of my shoulder. Looking back, I think we've had a very successful 2022. If you have read Kevin's SWIG for November, SWIG standing for Senior Warden Infogram, and if you have not been keeping up with those, you're missing out on an important facet of our communication, but also just a fun read. So be on the lookout for those. But if you read November's, then you already know a lot of the things that I'm going to be sharing. I wanted to highlight just a few things. When I think about the ministry of the church, a question that is always on my mind, and I've shared this with a lot of you, it'll probably sound familiar. If we had to close our doors for good, would we be missed? Would we be missed by anybody? In one sense, that answer is a resounding yes. Over the last year, we have become even more committed financially, as well as volunteer, to places like the Albemarle Pregnancy Resource Center and Clinic, to the Souls Feeding Ministry, to Beloved Haven. These local ministries we support. We had them come in and share their story with us. I know many of you were particularly moved by the Beloved Haven story. And so now we are giving, as a church, a more consistent gift every month to those ministries. We're very proud of that. That's a thing that makes me proud is when we paid off the mortgage in November of 21, the first thought was, how do we put this money back into the community? And this is how you answer that question. If we had to close our doors for good, would we be missed? Well, this is how you answer that with a resounding yes, by giving back to the community.
But it's more than just the local aspect of things. We are committed, and I've been told by James Swinford, who is the pastor, rector, leader of the South Philly Mission Church. This is a church plant that started just before COVID hit. So it went through a really difficult period, as did we all. But in the north, they really locked down things. But things are starting to pick up again, and they're starting to see some momentum to where if COVID hadn't been a thing, we would be really encouraged by what we're seeing with James and what he's doing in South Philly. Well, we're supporting that because that's what the diocese asks us to do, is to support. Every local church is either supposed to be involved or supporting other church plants. And so this is our way of contributing to that. And we started that this last year. Discipleship opportunities. We brought back morning prayer. We introduced a women's Bible study, and we also re-energized the men's Bible study. And so now there is a consistent schedule of discipleship available to everyone at the church through these things. Sunday school, I'm very happy with the turnout that we've had over the course of the last year, diving into different topics. I'll speak a little more to that in a moment. Something that's happened behind the scenes that you may not be aware of unless you were intimately involved is that we are laying the groundwork to begin a nursery ministry. The idea being we can't wait for people to show up before we build it, or else they won't come back. Young families won't come back. So we need to build something that's already available to them when they arrive. And we've had 8 volunteers go through the accreditation process, which required going through a training process through the diocese as well as a background check, so that new visitors, young families, when they come to our church, they can be confident that we are providing them with care that is safe, informative, and meaningful. And so we're starting that process, and that kind of happened behind the scenes. What did not happen behind closed doors, was out in the open for everyone to see, is we had 1 person confirmed and 2 people received into our diocese and into the Anglican approach to the faith. And we were very thankful for Josh Williams and Ed and Carolyn Segrist to be full-fledged members of our community. And then Redeemer Park. Behind the scenes, we started making some headway with Redeemer Park. I was able to procure a $2,000 grant from the Rural Clergy Fellows program that I was a part of this last year. So $2,000 of free money to go toward the park. And there have been other substantial individual contributions made toward the park as well. I also plan on writing, I'm in the works now of writing a grant proposal for the diocese to consider our park and to consider funding it. So a lot's been going on, whether right in front of your face or behind the scenes, but we've had a successful year. Looking ahead, let's look at that question one more time. If we were to close our doors, would we be missed? Let's frame it a different way. If we closed our doors, would Elizabeth City miss us? I think so. A lot of the ministries that we support financially are based in Elizabeth City. Certainly they cover an area greater than Elizabeth City, but they are based there. If you were to look at our directory, most of the addresses of our congregation come from Elizabeth City. So Elizabeth City would miss us. But would Camden miss us? And I think that's a tougher question to ask because it makes us think about what are we doing for the people of Camden. So let's state this a different way. Are we a church that just so happens to be in Camden? to be located in Camden, or are we a church that is here for Camden? I want us to be able to say yes, and I think in some ways we can, but I want to be able for that to be as a resounding yes as I was saying before, so that I don't have to say in one sense yes, and in another sense we're working on it. I want it in every facet to be a full, resounding yes. So, how do we become more of a for Camden church? Well, there's some ideas that I'm working on. I would like to see a greater involvement between us and the school systems in Camden County. I would like us to host more community events. Something that takes some planning, but can also be really simple in the grand scheme of things, is to have an Easter egg hunt where anyone can come. Or to have a Halloween trunk or treat. No reason why we can't pull that off with our parking lot space. Or to expand the Blessing of the Animals event and like really promote that and really advertise that and get people to come even if they don't go to our church or don't even really consider themselves Christians. Like, how do we get the word out that, hey, we'll bless your animal for you? And that might be a way in, a way to connect with people. And that is something that we're doing for Camden. Camden, the last 2 years, has held a Heritage Festival every October. There's no reason why Church of the Redeemer can't have a place, a venue set for that festival where people will walk by and we'll give them information. Maybe we'll pray for them. Maybe we'll bless their pet if they want to bring their pet. Like, there's so much that can be done with that, and I want us to start taking advantage of that. And then, of course, there's Redeemer Park. Now, I haven't shared much about Redeemer Park. You may recall one Sunday I mentioned it after a fall retreat with the vestry of saying, hey, here's what we were really excited about. And then we didn't talk about it that much because we were trying to lay the groundwork. How is this going to happen? Where are we going to get the funding from? What are we going to do? How do we plan it out? I'm not going to really share much now because this is just not the time or place for it. But what I want you to do is I want you to mark your calendars for January 29th. That's going to be 2 Sundays from now during the Sunday school hour. I want you, if you are one that usually comes to Sunday school, to come to this event. If you are someone who doesn't usually come to Sunday school, I still want you to come to this event because it's going to be a very important time. Because here's where we're going to lay out Redeemer Park, the vision for it, the reason for it, the spiritual distinctives of it. This is not just some fun and games thing that we're throwing together to make us look different. Okay, there is a real ministry going on here. I want this to be an opportunity for people to address their questions or their concerns and have an honest conversation about these things. I've heard of some of the issues. I have responses for those. But I want us to hear what myself and the vestry and a few others are really captured by with this idea for Redeemer Park. So 9/15, Sunday, January 29th. If you want to know more about the park, if you want to say something about the park, this is your opportunity to do it. Okay? So come one, come all. How can we be more of a for the world church? We are a church that, proclaims the kingdom not only to Camden and Elizabeth City, but to Philadelphia and to the whole world, the ends of the earth. Okay? How do we do that? Well, just as we were able to bring in local ministries over the course of the summer and fall, I've already been in conversations with Bob Chambers from Wycliffe Associates. I've had some email communication with the Vivancos, and they're open to visiting us. I've Campichu, Bishop Campichu from the Kenyan Christian Education Partnership. I've had some interaction with him through texting. We're hoping to bring them here in the hopes of being able to do the same thing that Beloved Haven and APRCC was able to do, share their ministry, share their story, and for us to be able to pray for them and to discuss how we can be more intimately involved in their ministries. I want us to be able to expand the discipleship opportunities we provide here. More opportunities for worship, more opportunities for prayer, more opportunities for discipleship. I don't want to really get into specifics right now, but just know that that is an idea that I see. I want to be able to provide more opportunities so that you can't say the church doesn't do enough. I want to be able to say that the church provides a Golden Corral-like buffet of discipleship options for us to be a part of. During the Sunday school year this year, I'd like for us to dig more into this Anglican way of life that we love and cherish, but maybe we don't know enough about. So I want to dig into things like the Articles of Religion. I want to do a deep dive into the new Book of Common Prayer and kind of see what's available there. I believe this has been done before, but hey, you practice the fundamentals, you always practice the fundamentals. I'd like for us to do a series on the Anglican Catechism, to be a Christian. That was printed by ACNA a few years ago. And just to really dive deeper into what it means to be Anglican. And there's some other resources that I'm thinking about showing you all. But that's what's in store for Sunday school this year. A couple of final notes. A community will not miss a church if it does not know that it's around. And I'm afraid that requires that we need to revamp our website, because I think what's happening right now is maybe some of you have invited people, or some people know about the church, and then they look us up. And then they see that there's just a really outdated website, that it served a purpose for a time, and that was very useful, but now we need something more. And I am already working on an outline, working on drawing pictures of like what I want the website to be. The catch that makes me hopeful this will happen sooner rather than later is that the communications director of the diocese, Heidi Reichert, is going to be helping me, guiding me with the process, because she knows how to do these things. She's made websites both for the diocese and other churches. So she knows what she's doing, and she's a delight to work with. We're going to make this happen sooner rather than later. A final note that I want to end on. You may have noticed during some of my Advent sermons, Christmas Eve sermons, this theme of we need to grow more curious about Jesus. I want us to think more about what it would mean to grow our curiosity. Because if you're growing curiosity, what that means is that you are eager to learn. You're eager to listen. You're eager to consider different ways instead of already coming with a judgment, already coming with an idea that I already know everything I need to know, or coming in with some other predisposition that blocks growth. So what would it look like to get curious about what this park idea is all about? Well, it would mean coming to the Sunday school meeting on January 29th, asking questions, being willing to listen and hear what God might be doing with this. It might mean getting curious about what does it look like to grow in community. Get more curious about that. Some of us, I think, are very good at growing and reading our Bibles and praying in our own homes. But what does it look like to grow together as a community? Taking advantage of things like morning prayer, men's Bible study, women's Bible study, and some of the other things that will come along the pike. in this new year. What does it look like? And to become curious about that, like, what would that look like? Getting curious about the people you live near. I strongly encourage people to invite their friends, their neighbors to our church. I think that's really one of the best modes of evangelism. Another way to show people the church is to invite them into your own homes. Have your neighbor over for dinner if you don't already do that. Have someone that God's put on your heart, have them over for dinner so that they get to know you and they get to know this thing, this faith, this person, Jesus Christ, who lightens up your life and energizes it and fulfills it and gives it purpose and meaning and hope and a future. Get curious about the people around you. I think as we grow in our curiosity and not just assume that we don't need to know more or we don't have to know more or that we're comfortable where we're at, let's expand our horizons. Let's get curious about what different things God might be doing, both in you and around us. I look forward to seeing you all soon. May God bless you in the name of the Father and the Son and the Holy Spirit. Amen.